Hello and welcome to a Path of Exile 1 video. In this video, I'm going to be going over my league start plans. I'm going to be playing Reave of Refraction here, and I've edited my window so it's more visibly tolerable to the YouTube audience, because I know PoE on a widescreen it looks really bad when it gets converted to YouTube. But as you can tell, we're doing Vol Reave of Refraction, multi-strike, melee fizz, elemental damage with attacks, Trinity, Nightblade, for auras, Herald of Ash precision, Blood and Sand, Herald of Purity, Arctic Armor, Assassin's Mark, Marka on hit, Life Tap, Whirling Blaze, faster attack, Life Tap, Blood Rage, and you want quality wherever quality is impactful, like on your automation with Steel Skin, you're going to want quality as well. And as you can tell, we're only doing 2 million DPS, but this is, oh, I guess I can remove Light of Meaning. This is literally just with like bog standard claws. Basically all the generic shit that would be up if you're mapping. Yeah, it's literally just a scavenger and a claw. With like a pretty decent fizz claw that you can just recombinate spam. So what you would do is you would alt aug until you get fizz and accuracy, and with like either attack speed or crit chance, and then alt aug, try to get flat fizz, at least like, these are all like T3, T4 style rolls. But you can get like T3 plus is more than enough DPS. Like I've gotten the PoE up to like over 25 million with just T3 rolls. Yeah, I don't see a problem with this. You just recom spam. Town's going to be cheaper, so you're going to be able to achieve this much quicker. I typically don't get like a T3 recom claw until like day like 6 or 7 when I've reset. So I've already played Settlers League 6 times. I know what I'm doing as far as like crafting a claw in SSF environment, but other people may not know what they're doing. And this is just an Exalt Fizz Slam. So you recomp all of these and then you Fizz Slam, and you can YOLO slam the suffix. I don't know, maybe there's like some like Guardian Orb type shit, like Redeemer or something, that you can slam on like a decent suffix. I have no idea. Crit chance was, or crit multiplier is obviously the best in slot, but like even just like any res would be nice. Anything like that. Even just like dexterity or like attributes of any sort is honestly good. So why Scavenger? The Scavenger gives us Cloak of Flame, and then we're going to pick up Doom Fletch, scale fizz damage as hard as we can, and then Adrenaline. This is going to be a mapping focused build, and you have a lot of different options for uniques to kind of pad your stats. Like you can go Bloodseeker, you can go the Scourge, Wasp's Nest. Any one of these weapons is going to be able to carry your DPS pretty hard. But if we just simulate like some well-rolled gear, like this is literally almost 4 million DPS, and then we can slap in the Light of Meaning, and now we're at 4.5. You can get some pretty fancy Abyss Jewels like this. It's not required. Honestly, I think maybe just like crit multi-jewels are probably better, but you can fit a couple of those in, and all of a sudden your DPS is going up and up and up. As far as gear goes, you have a couple of different options. Like you could do Svalin, you can do Magna Eclipse, because this gives you Elemental Aegis, which when you combine that with the Cloak of Flame mechanic, it does give you quite a bit of decent tankiness. Dawnbreaker, a similar kind of concept. You're just scaling what you've already scaled. You can also just use like a rare, preferably hybrid strength evasion bases, so armor evasion. That's probably the best For body armor, you want to go the laminar. You don't want to go the 170 whatever base type, just because it's going to push your strength requirements even higher. We already get a decent amount of strength from the passive tree, but we're not going to be able to very easily cap this out without at least a like 50 strength roll or higher on a belt with an all attributes style amulet. That's probably the best case scenario for a character like this. As far as the helmet goes, you have a couple of different options. Abyssus is the most strongest, but even if you remove, so we're at 12.5k and we have no gear on. If I remove Scavenger and I remove the helmet, we're at 10.3k. So your Phys hit is just exponentially higher even with Abyssus on. So if you want to embrace the softcore vibe, you can definitely run an Abyssus. Abyssus is an armor base and it has all attributes that you can roll on it. The difference between the 40% increase and like a 50% increase Phys damage taken is fairly negligible. It's only around a 500 max Phys hit, but that can also be the difference between life and death at much later levels. But the all attributes is really nice. It means that you pretty much just need a little bit more int and a little bit more strength, and you're pretty much capped to use like any weapon type. I believe 98 is the baseline that you need for an Imperial. So if you have plus 16 from an amulet, you're pretty much just good to go because you'd be over 100 int. So an Onyx amulet base is always nice. And then Fractal Thoughts is another option here. This, you're still going to maintain a relatively high EHP, as well as if you're not using any armor base types and you're only using hybrid, you can also use Spell Suppress Mastery. But this item, it gives you a decent chunk of crit multiplier. Your strength is always going to be higher than intelligence as long as you're going hybrid, because you're going to want that 150 strength requirement, and you only need around 100 int to make the build work. This does mean that you don't really get that much HP out of the int scaling. However, because we have around 250 plus dexterity, you are going to get a substantial amount of percent increased damage, which can be very hard to get early on in a league. So I think it's definitely worth it. Another option is Light Poacher, but you really need to like scale a ton of Abyss Jewels, and then you also need to make sure that your mana is super low, and then you also need to make sure that you Archmage it, and then you won't expend your charges whenever you, because you won't be able to use Spirit Burst because the build is not CI. We can't life tap it and go CI. It basically makes it so that you can't ever expend the Light Poacher. However, Light Poacher is still a good item to scale Phys builds. It's an option. You don't have to do it, but it is an option out there. My personal preference is going to lean towards Fractal Thoughts. I just want a speedy mapper and I don't want to have to die a lot, but Abyssus is definitely more towards like the end game bossing setup that you want to go. As far as body armor, you just want to craft your own body armor, and for gloves, Admiral's Arrogance is best in slot. This enables us to get rage in the build, and the main way that you're going to get rage is by getting an amulet that you think has got decent rolls on it. Yoke of Suffering is obviously the clear winner for best in slot. This isn't only an 8% increased damage taken, and it's giving us over 55% increased damage, because it also provides us our Veteran's Wrath, which is 2 gold and an opal, or violet? Yeah, violet. So this basically enables the rage recovery in the build, as well as give you a fuckload of damage for the sake of bossing. And then the Taming is a clear winner here, just a fuckload of damage, and also gives you a ton of res. And then Circle of Guilt, all attributes, and then it gives you a lot of percent increased damage. The physical damage you can scale with the physical and chaos modifiers. You can also get like some percent increased damage type shit on it. and that pretty much leaves you open to play around with whatever boots you would like, whatever body armor you would like, whatever shield you would like, and whatever belt you would like. But this is probably like the more top end DPS focused setup. And then for the skills, obviously we are using multi-strike, melee fizz, and elemental damage with attacks. All three of these have awakened variants. So putting all of these in, your DPS is going to skyrocket like over 2 million DPS in like a very late game PoB. It's strictly because woke melee fizz here. It also has intimidate on it, so you'll be able to intimidate, and intimidate would give us even more damage. So there's like 700k DPS right there just from intimidate. And obviously, this is just with a touch of anguish. Let's put on a respectable crafted claw, and then let's see how much intimidate makes it go up. So almost 900, almost 100k, I think, 900k DPS. So intimidate just gets exponentially better the more damage you're dealing. So this is where you can expect to be at within like a week if you're playing in trade, maybe 2 weeks if you're playing in SSF. I play SSF, I know what I'm doing. I've played a lot of Reave in SSF, but for those of you that are curious of like how would you level a character like this, you would basically play Peaconk Bouncing or Poisonous Concoction for as long as you want. There's a lot of efficiency between the two trees, and basically you would come out this way. You can ignore the life early on and just bum rush the replenish remedies and the flash mastery, and then I would pick the life gain on hit, come out here, grab a fatal toxins here, and then I would come directly down, pick up swift venoms. That way you can drop chance to poison entirely, because you're gonna have way more than enough poison chance in the build. You won't need to use chance to poison. You can alternatively just come out here and get these nodes if you don't want to have to path all the way down here. But this is a little bit less respec than 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. This is only 3 nodes because you're going to be coming down here anyways. So depends on how much you want to actually respec. You will need to respec these nodes, you will need to respec these nodes, you will need to respec these nodes, as well as these nodes, and this mastery. This mastery is something that you can take just because there's movement speed in the dagger and movement nodes, and then elusive effect because you are going to do like Plague Bearer and Withering Step. So that's how you'll boost up your single target. You press Plague Bearer, you press Withering Step, and then you go right back to just like right clicking the enemy with your Poisonous Concoction, or Peaconk Bouncing if you prefer Peaconk Bouncing leveling up. But to basically 1 through 12, play whatever skill you want. Spectral Throw, Frost Blades, Cobra Lash is what I personally prefer. Scion, you get you can buy chance to poison, or you can mule a shadow, as well as get like a weapon to use. That way you're not like panicking of, oh my gosh, I don't have enough resources, because you don't start out with a claw. And then pick up chance to poison, pick up volley, and then your level 8 reward, I believe, is the lesser multiple. And then you basically have volley and LMP and chance to poison, which are all gems that you're going to use for Poisonous Concoction. And you can just use volley in your Cobra Lash setup until you actually get Poisonous Concoction. But for like single target encounters, just drop volley. That's really all you need to do. And then at level 12, you get Poisonous Concoction, you get Shield Charge, and you also, by that point, you should have Frostblink in your build, and from there you're good to go. That's all you really need. You can pick up Plague Bearer and Withering Step whenever you want, and then in Act 2 you can pick up Cruelty, because cruelty you can use as a fourth link on poisonous concoction. You should be able to max out cruelty, and it's really, really impactful when you have a 100% chance to poison after you get like these nodes and the poison chance down here. The reason that you don't want to take these nodes is just because it costs way more for a respec. And then in normal lab, you're not really getting anything from Scion normal. And then in Cruel lab, you'll be able to get Cloak of Flame. By that point in time, if you really need extra res, you can come down here and pick up like Sentinel. This just adds to the amount of respec points that you're going to need down the road. As far as everything else, like Trickery is just % increased damage, so it should. I've already done a leveling run through Act 5 using this like style of a passive tree. I've fucked around with it, tried different skills at certain points, etc. So this is, as far as I can tell, the more optimal way to level up. And then once you hit like Act 9, Act 10, you basically just want to focus on doing your Uber lab. You want to, at the bare minimum, get a Reave with 20% quality. That way you can have good AoE going into mapping. And additionally, you can try to go for refraction. It is hard to get, but if you can get refraction and then get a Reave in a different socket, you can also just do that. And if you don't get refraction, how you can convert is just using Fizz to lightning in your supports instead of like melee Fizz or something. And then you can pick up these nodes here and do 40% cold convert, and that'll get you a decent split. When you factor in the amount of Fizz as extra you get from these two nodes, it's around 15%, and then you're converting 40%, and then your lightning is going to be higher than your cold, and your fire is going to be decent enough through Herald of Ash to actually compensate for the sporadic rolls of lightning and cold. So it'll work. And then the last thing is for your souls, Brine King early on because it was Stun Avoid, and then for like general late game mapping, because we're using the Herald of Purity, you could go Soul of Lunaris, that way avoid projectiles that have chained. And then this is just for like fast map blasting. And then for bossing, you're gonna just use Soul of Solaris. Both of these are about the same amount of max hit. It just depends on the encounter that you're doing. So that's really about it. Sorry if it sounds like I've been out of breath at certain points. I did run like errands for around like 4 hours today and shovel a lot of snow. So nice weekend off, I guess. Anyways, that's it for me. See ya. Peace.